on how we feel about the internet sensation Kevin Samuels. Um, I have my feelings, have my opinions, but I want to hear from you, two brothers. You're aware who Kevin Samuels is?
Yes, I'm very aware.
So now, like, well, people don't understand why we even have the relationship segment is because, like, Khalil knows as myself, we deal with this in our community, where we actually help and mend a lot of situations, a lot of homes where people who wives complain about their husbands and husbands complain about their wives and want to get a divorce or want to get married and things like this. So we're in the mix already. So today we're going to talk about this. What do you think?
Kevin Samuels, for one, he's a realist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad?
It depends on how he expresses it. There's been a couple of times when I think he was trying to educate some young black women or comment, and the way he did it was kind of harsh. But I think in most of the cases that I've seen, he hasn't been harsh at all.
So let me ask you: was that his harshness a response to aggressive caller, or was it his attack?
Still don't justify it. You got to be professional about it. And then you still, even if the person was aggressive, you don't respond to their aggression with aggression, or disrespect. I mean, he basically, the way he just disrespected the young lady, I don't remember what he said. I just don't think, whether she was aggressive or not, he shouldn't have been disrespectful to her. Because that, number one, at the end of the day, is somebody's daughter. Somebody's daughter could be somebody's mother. And he shouldn't have disrespected her like that. Because I don't think, no matter how aggressive his daughter or his mother would be with somebody else, I don't think he would like for somebody to disrespect them. So that's number one. But most of the time, he's very respectful. It's just been a couple of situations. Second thing, I don't think he's unique or original. I think he's getting a lot of what he says from Shahrazad Ali. Mm-hmm. Who wrote The Black Man's Guide to Understanding a Black Woman. I think he got a lot of that from her.
But you do know, because I think a lot of people from our community get caught up in how he responds to some of the callers. But his message is not to black women directly or black men directly. It's to women.
I don't know. I think he's addressing a problem that plagues black culture.
More or only?
I think only. I think he's really addressing a problem that we mainly have. You know what? No. I think it could be both. But I think he's addressing us more. But I think his main message from what I've gathered is that he's dealing with the double standard.
Okay.
He's dealing with the double standard where if a black man says, "Listen, this is the type of woman that I want to be in a relationship with." Let's say she has, a bachelor's degree, she's a certain height, she's a certain weight, she's a certain complexion. That's wrong. But when a black woman does it, it's no problem. So I think he's addressing the double standard. So if a black woman has a choice, or any woman, where she says that this is the type of man that I prefer to be with, a man should also have that right. And we live in a society now, especially after the women's lib movement back in the early 70s, men are being stripped of their rights, and women. It's become now where women can do certain things, but if a man does it, it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's like if a woman behaves like a man, somebody would say she's a strong woman. But if we act like a woman, then they call it the F word. You know what I'm saying? Or sissy. You understand what I'm saying? Or you're not a man.
There's definitely a double standard.
And I think he's dealing with. That's what he's addressing. He's addressing the double standard that's out there.
One of the things I noticed that people are not taking consideration, I think that people need to take in consideration, he's not a counselor. He's not a relationship guru. He is an image consultant. So as an image consultant, his job is to drop and give drop the jewels and the hard truth. You may not want to hear it, but that's his job. If you want to get someone who's a high earning man, then the high earning men usually think like this, right? You're not entitled to a high earning man just because you are a female, just because you're pretty, just because you don't have children. No. And I think that standard, even in our community, is necessary, because what happens is you have people who are in the community who would like to be married, making no self-adjustments, but want the cream of the crop. So when a brother says, no, I'm sorry, sister, I'm not interested. Oh, why? You must be gay. You must not like women. No, sister, because unfortunately, I don't see you to be healthy. I don't see you to be someone I can build with long term. And this is not, it's not me. I'm not thinking for myself. I'm saying in general, just how men think. So whether a man's opinion or perspective is correct or incorrect, it doesn't matter. What matters is that's his perspective. So you're going to meet him at his level, or you're going to ask him to adjust.
Well, Kevin Samuels, he's around my age. Okay, yeah. I think he's 2 years older than myself.
49, I think 49.
Yeah, I think 49, 50 years old. I think he's from like Arkansas, Oklahoma, one of those places right out there in the Midwest. The way he thinks, this generation can't identify with him. But someone like myself, Suleiman, we can identify. I can identify with him a lot because, like we mentioned earlier, like I grew up in Queensbridge. Who did I grow up in Queensbridge with? My grandmother. Mm-hmm. My grandmother's born in the early 1900s. Definitely. So the way I see women, that's why I'm not really myself personally. A lot of women from my age group and younger, that's in this part of the world, I don't think we're going to have a healthy relationship, because the way I see a woman should carry herself is the way my grandmother carried herself.
Okay. And
those are the type of women that I'm attracted to. You understand? And I think Kevin Samuels, the standard that he's or the yardstick that he's using to judge men and women, it's more of that pre-women's lib, that's that the 60s or 1950s. He's looking at how those people used to carry themselves, even the way he dresses. Mm-hmm. Okay, he reminds me so much of my father. He's always in suits. Okay, he wears nice shoes. He has videos about which kind of cologne a man should wear. Those were things back in those days. In those days, that's men. They didn't dress like, how we started to dress. Because I said to myself, maybe about a year ago, I said, you know what? We were bums, because we were outside wearing sports apparel as casual clothes.
Yes, sir.
We're bums. I was actually wearing a basketball warm-up suit. And that's something I would go to a party and to a club wearing, a
jersey
or a suit or something like. Well, he wasn't wearing jerseys, but you wear, the top and bottom, which is it's really a warm-up suit.
Okay.
Right? And you have your sneakers on, and you might have your gold chain and all that, and your hat. But back in those days, all the men wore suits. Or they might wear maybe slacks and a shirt. They all wore shoes, and they dressed nice, and that's how, they presented themselves. The women dressed a certain way, but things had changed. So he's addressing how how our culture has changed our image, and that image is a real negative image. Like you have it where you have people that are 60 and 70 years of age getting tattoos. That's a no.
A person could say, or maybe probably would argue, that in this time that we live in now, you have to adjust to the culture.
Well, that's why the comment that you made was based on tradition.
Mm-hmm.
For males, your grandmother was the same thing with my grandmother, my mother, and my aunts. I used to love to see the way they dressed, their culture, as women, especially in Harlem. And that's why we said we would want somebody that looked like them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to looking at some of his podcasts tells you how 50% of the women think like they got to have a man with a picket white fence. They can be delusional. They can be in denial and entitled and selfish because that's their tradition they learn at home. Mm-hmm. That's what their parents got. Bring nobody in here with no messenger job. Bring no security guard in here. Better get somebody with some money. So it's tradition. That's what it is.
So,
but what is she doing? You know what I'm saying? You looking for this man who has a master's degree. He's making 6 figures, but you got like 5 children. The 5 children out of the 5, there's 3 different baby fathers. You know what I'm saying? You living in housing. The way you dress, the way you articulate yourself, you can't be with a man like that. Even like my father, right? My father is very picky about when if he goes out with a woman, she can't be a woman that shows her cleavage, and she has to dress a certain way when he's going out. You might be one female that me and you might spend some time over here, but when I'm around certain people, when I go out, you can't go out with me.
I am all for standards and raising the bar, because once the bar's risen, once the standards are made, then you can hold people accountable. I'm not choosing you because you don't meet the mark. It's nothing against you personally. It's just that what I'm looking for, or what she's looking for, or what he's looking for, is someone to build a future with. And the person I see, or the person they may see to build a future with, has these qualities. And anytime you go outside your core preferences in a relationship, the relationship is bound to fail. So you don't put those preferences in the beginning, the relationship is not going to do well. So, we mentioned before, I'm about the message. I think his message is clear. Do better, get better. Period. I think it doesn't get any more clear than that. But I just want to touch on some phrases that you hear common in some of his post. Basic at best. But mind you, when I heard it at first, automatically I chuckled because no female wants to hear they're basic at best. Mm-hmm. But if you ask a woman to grade themselves from 1 to 10 and they can't use 7, you're not an 8 and you're not a 9 or a 10, then you are basic at best. So he lets them judge themselves. And then he applies reality. Reality is, if you're basic at best, why do you want the cream of the crop?
But for which generation? Because like basic at best, for me and Suleiman, they're not even basic. I mean, Suleiman, your grandmother she had one man her whole life. All I know is my grandmother was married to Richard Carter. That's all we know. Mm-hmm. He left. My grandmother, there was no boyfriends or anybody coming in the house. All three of her children had the same last name, and they had the same father. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I had another great grandmother who she was married, but she was married and she had children with that man, and she had a second marriage and she had children with that man. But nowadays, basic. Oh, it's so low. It is so low. Like, these are women that we're talking about 40, 50 years ago, they would have a certain, label put on them in the community. Mm-hmm. And that's what he may be calling basic at best. But for like someone being solely man, like, you don't even have a chance.
Mm. That's why you have to your wife, your zawja, the girlfriend has to be a teacher, like, and especially in the way of life we in. They're the nourisher, right? You don't just call them the housewife. When you're sick, they become the doctor. When you're hungry, they become the chef. When you got problems, they become the counselor, and so on and so on. Definitely. So if your woman is not praying at home, the kids are not going to pray. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many places you travel and how many places you go. They are the nourishers. Definitely. So when a child gets sick, he goes up under the mother. Mommy, I'm sick. The father be like, all right, tough it out a little bit. Or even on the ball court, when he get hit, come on, that's just a scratch. But the mother alone, if she's doing all these things, and she's the teacher, and she's praying and making salat, and she's bringing in, it's not basic. She's what you want in your life.
Definitely.
So
men want submissive women. One of his statements. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Men want what?
Submissive woman.
Yeah.
So what does submissive woman? What does that? What are those characteristics? How does that look?
I don't want to say submissive. I would like to say.
Don't back down now.
No, I would like to say. No, I like to say, because any man can control a woman's body. I would like to feed with her mind, and I don't want to say I would like to use her mind. I would like to feed with her mind. Mm-hmm. Any man can control a woman's body. Any man. But when you're dealing with the mind, and y'all have the conversation with the mind, because the body get older, but the conversation with the mind keeps the relation going. Let's keep it pumping. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the submissive, like, you mean bow and dance or move.
No. I think he's looking like a woman who smile a little bit and no back talk. I think that's probably what he's kind of like focusing on. Women who aren't really aggressive. I think it's true and it's false.
I believe submissive is a woman who doesn't rebel against that which is correct.
So you're saying she cannot agree to disagree?
No, I'm saying that which is correct. Mm-hmm. She doesn't rebel against that which is correct.
I think it's true and it's false, because men, they come in different calibers and different ways of thinking. I think most men want happiness. So if they have to bend a little, maybe even a little beta to keep peace and harmony in the house, I think a lot of men don't have any problem with that. But then there are some alpha males, or males who consider themselves alpha males, and they're not going to budge. Those men need submissive women, because it's not about harmony. It's my way or the highway. Those men exist. I'm not saying that that's a behavior that's a praiseworthy, but they exist. And a lot of time when you have people who are the high earners, mentally they train themselves to be go-getters. So they don't want any back talk. They kind of want to live their life, not her life.
See, me as a Muslim, I could be kind of biased towards that type of term, because in Islam, both the man and the woman are supposed to be submissive. She's not being submissive to me, and I'm not being submissive to her. We're both being submissive to God.
And the truth.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Which is the truth.
The truth.
So that's how I look at it. So that's why I said, not rebelling against the truth. Because at the end of the day, I have my role as a man. Like, no matter how much you talk back to me, no matter whatever, I still got to pay the bills. It's not like, I'm mad at you, I'm not paying the rent this week. Or I'm not going to buy groceries.
Right.
I got to do that regardless. If I don't want to be in a relationship with you, then now we have to go about doing things the proper way of me and you going our two separate ways in kindness. But other than that, I have my role. No matter how you behave, I have to meet the my duties that I have been commanded to fulfill. I have to fulfill those duties.
Which is the definition of a way of life.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Correct?
Yes.
Because if we throw what we are in there, it confuses the viewers. And not to hide anything. It's just that I love my woman because she gives me opportunity to be who I am. Like, I'm selling T-shirts. I'm going to sell some tickets. I'm going to hustle. But when they get in the way and they says, no, you make enough money and I make enough money, let's settle down and just, but even if I don't sell a T-shirt or a ticket, it's just my theological thought and vision and my plan on what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Are you part of it? Now, if I'm sick and I'm old and I can't get around and do it no more, I like selling my horns and hats on New Year's. It's not because you're too old to do that. Just giving me opportunity to be who I am. And I want to give you opportunity to do what you do with a way of life. And that's what I look at. So
yeah, because I think the women, being submissive means that you have your duties as a woman, fulfill those duties, and that's what a man wants. And that's what a woman should want in a man as well.
But what happens when you lose your job and you out of work and you sick? Is that become her job?
No, that means you go out and get it. You go out.
You're sick, brother.
Are you sick?
You can't do anything.
Okay, so if she decides that she wants to go, help the family, and she goes out and helps the family.
Yeah, help the family.
He said if you're sick, so you can't do it.
Yes.
You can't do it.
So it's not. Is it an issue of does she decide or she has to step it up?
It depends. She might not want to be in a relationship anymore.
You got an if on there, right?
Okay.
Yeah, right. I like that
time to clock out, right? So, okay. With that being said, I'd like to thank the visitors for today, the guests, Imam Khalil, the brother Suleiman, my closest of friends, and I would like to remind everyone again to like, comment, and subscribe to the Confrontational Podcast, and stay tuned for further content.